whenever you're ready. Oh, we're live. You got both of us in the chat? You sure? You know how are you?
Hey everyone.
Can you talk?
You're live.
Oh, make sure the mic is turned on. The green button up top. You see the first button? No, all the way in the top, in the front. The first one.
Got you.
Okay, the green light on?
This one.
Is the green light on?
The green light is on.
That means go.
Yes. Oh, I can see myself in my telephone.
So the telephone has started.
Right?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Look, hey, this is Nuby, and of course, if y'all looking for Kym is actually here. She's in the room. She's over on that side of the camera because she's working the camera today. We actually have her doing some work. She's earning her keep. So it was decided between myself and also our special guest, Miss Lisa Hunter, that Kym would work the camera and earn her keep. So, Lisa, I think she should do it the whole time, don't you?
Fair.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kym should do it the whole time. So, Kym, work that camera the entire time. If you guys notice any problems with the camera, like if it's crooked or something, you know who to blame, because I already see it's crooked. But I'm not going to say anything.
It's okay. We can just go like this the whole time.
Let's angle it. I mean, yeah, we got to angle it.
Yeah.
No, don't screw
Okay.
that up. Sit down, child. Okay. Don't mess it up.
Love this.
Okay, so look, this is Nuby, of course. You know, Kym, she's over there working the camera, doing something. Okay. So she's over there doing something, and she has a cocktail beside her. So I don't know if she's going to be able to do this the entire time. But thank God,
I got it.
it's on a tripod, and it's already set up, and basically it's hands-free.
It's like autopilot.
That's right.
So look, Nuby, Kym's over there. We're here with our special guest, Miss Lisa Hunter. Now,
Hi.
woo, woo. If you guys don't know, give me praise.
I know, it's like everybody's doing it like it's 94.
That was a good year.
It was a good year.
So look, with Kym and Nuby show, we're here live with Miss Lisa Hunter. Now, if you don't know who Lisa Hunter is, you guys are probably outside of the district, may not really know who she is because she's not a recording artist.
Yes.
She doesn't do like choreography like Janet Jackson. You want to say yet?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
She's not a great artist like Michelangelo.
Yes.
Thank you for that yet. And she's not like the Pope, so she's not running the Vatican or her own Vatican.
I'm not sure I'll ever get there.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
Okay, so no yet on that. Let's
No
do a
yet on
cheers
that.
for that.
All right.
That will probably stop our drinking.
Okay.
All right, so anyway, Lisa Hunter, she's one of the candidates for running for office in Ward 6.
Yeah. This is for the DC Council.
Yes.
And we don't call it the City Council. We call it
Yes.
the DC Council because DC is, something more than just the city.
Yeah, we're more than just a city.
We're better than that.
Yeah.
And we ought to be a state.
Yeah, we should be a state. That's another topic. We'll talk about that later.
That's a whole other can of worms.
We'll talk about
Yeah.
that. So that's a whole other can of worms. But look, tonight we're going to actually sit down with Lisa. We're going to talk to her. We're going to pick her brain, find out who she is. Who is Lisa? Who is Lisa Hunter? Why does she want to run? What got her into politics? Why does she feel that she can be the voice for you? Sometimes that voice that is unheard, or sometimes I get missed or lost in the shuffle. Why is she able to be that voice for you? So talking to her before the show started, we actually enjoyed talking to her. She has a lot on her plate, a lot on her mind. She has a lot on her agenda, but I think she can get everything done. She's
I do too.
proven herself. So we're going to talk to her. We're going to find out more about her. So we'll be back after this commercial. Y'all know we ain't got no commercials.
That's awesome.
Set up. So Lisa, okay. Tell us a little bit about you. Everybody that don't know you out there, tell us about you. Who is Lisa Hunter?
Sure. And do I look here, anywhere?
Anywhere.
I mean, you couldn't look at me and you have some beautiful
but why would you?
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Hunter. As Nuby said, I am running for the DC Council to represent Ward 6. Now, if you're in Washington, DC, I will tell you, Ward 6 is massive. It's the only ward that covers all 4 quadrants of the city. And it includes places like the Wharf, Waterfront, Navy Yard, Capitol Hill, H Street Corridor, which is where we are right now, Noma, and parts of Shaw. It's massive. Estimates say it's about 80,000 people. I think it's closer to 90,000, just given all of the gentrification and development that's been going on in our community. But the really cool thing about our ward is that it's this really interesting slice of DC that gives you sort of a microcosm of the larger trends that we're seeing throughout the city. So what we have in Ward 6 is some of the biggest economic disparities, some of the biggest health disparities. We have the wealthiest folks living among the most vulnerable communities in our city and probably in the nation, frankly. And as a result, what we got is a lot of prosperity. But the reason why I jumped into this race at a very high level is because we're leaving a lot of our neighbors behind. And so as a progressive, as a Democrat, as a woman of color, and as somebody who is socially aware and politically active, that's not okay to me. And so I decided to get off the sidelines and do something about it, not just to make the community better, but because I have a daughter. She's 18 months, and she deserves to start life seeing folks like her in office. And I also just want her to learn that when you see injustice on your doorstep, you do something about it. You don't just sit around and wait for others to fix it. So here I am, running for office, and I've got a lot on my plate. Yep, there's a big agenda.
Yes,
Yeah.
You do have a huge agenda. So, okay, let's go back a little bit.
Sure.
What got you into politics?
I fell into politics kind of randomly. My background is, so I grew up in Los Angeles originally, and I grew up in a multicultural home. My mom is Mexican American, and my dad is basically a gringo. No, he's Jewish. Yeah, same thing. In our household. And so from both cultures, and from both families really, what I really learned about was social justice and political activism. Those are the things that are really core to who I am, and it's how I'm raising my daughter as well. There were a few flashpoints that got me to this point to actually decide to run. First was, so in Washington, D.C., if you've been here, if you live here, what you'll notice if you look at our skyline is all of these cranes everywhere, right? Luxury apartment buildings going up in all corners of our city. And yet nothing, every time one of these buildings goes up, nothing is getting more affordable. In fact, it's getting more and more expensive for those of us who are already here to continue to stay in our communities. This is a problem. And in my immediate neighborhood, we had a junior high school that was bulldozed and rebuilt into luxury apartments and into a Trader Joe's. Not to knock Trader Joe's, we shop there, but still. I had my daughter in late 2016. In 2017, I was on maternity leave. I got to see the community in a whole new way. And that site was under construction. And almost sort of out of nowhere, these no parking signs started to crop up around the construction site.
Right.
2 to 3 block radius around the construction site. It said no parking, metallic signs, looked official, but were definitely not sanctioned by the city. Mm-hmm. And the problem is they said no parking in Spanish only. And so they were very clearly targeting Latino construction workers. Right. As a Latina, as a progressive, and just as a human, that was really bothersome to me, to put it mildly. So I reached out to my council member and I said, hey, these signs are pretty discriminatory, let's get rid of them. And he said, I'm obviously paraphrasing him, he said, oh, I'll look into it. Actually, that's an accurate quote. He said, I'll look into it. A week later, crickets, nothing. So my husband and I went out in the middle of the night like low budget superheroes and took them down ourselves. We still have these signs, by the way. And we ran them out on our kitchen floor, took a picture, and then we put it up on a local blog called Prince of Petworth. Mm-hmm. And then it started to catch fire. Then the council member got back to me and he said, oh, you shouldn't have done that. I was looking into it. Sort of like this finger wagging. And it's like, no, bro. Like, when you see injustice on your doorstep, you do something about it. You act. The answer is not, I will look into it. The answer is, I will take care of it. And that was really the huge motivating factor that got me to jump into this race. And plus, like, Trump. Like, screw Trump, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Right?
I mean,
well,
when have we not said that? I've always said that. I live by that. But it's above my bed.
Y'all have to let me me know if I'm getting a little too over there. But
Please.
all right,
Please, girl, you're at home.
here we go.
Make yourself at home. So, okay, with all the injustice, and I understand how the example you're giving your daughter is if you see something wrong, you see an injustice, go ahead and do something about it, especially if it's in your hand to do it. And as a council member, when you went to yours to actually say something, and they gave you I'll look into it. Anybody that knows, anybody that's been in business, anybody that's if you worked a job and you ask for a raise and they say, I'll look into it, you already know the answer.
Right.
The answer is, get out of my face.
But it's
That's
funny.
basically the answer.
I've been knocking on doors throughout our community, and many people have said that same refrain. I'll look into it whenever they contact our council member.
Right.
About things like, can we put a crosswalk here? Can we, do this with a, speeding sign or a camera or whatever? I'll look into it, and it never gets done.
Right. It never gets done. So you're that person to get things done.
Yeah.
I already see, because you've already done it. You've got your husband on board. Your guys going out late at night taking signs
My
down.
husband is like
So it's
in my corner big time.
right.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, because I think we all need to support people that are supporting us. So if you're in DC and you're in Ward 6, if you're watching this, if you're not watching this live, you're going to watch it later. You have someone that's actually doing something for you and actually getting out there and doing the work for you. So she's not just hearing, not just listening, and not just acknowledging you with shaking her head at you and shaking someone else's hand on the side. She's actually going out there to do the work for you. So
can I expand on this point really
please.
briefly? So before we actually got on air, we were just talking about rats.
Yes.
And
Let's talk
this
about
is
the
like
rats.
a very simple example, but I was down in Southwest by the waterfront today talking to folks who are living in public housing. And first of all, if you're living in public housing, I have to tell you, it's really hard in this city to get the city to come out and
To
do
do
basic
anything.
repairs for you.
To do anything
It's like you have
in
to
the
talk to
city.
this person and that person, and it takes 2 weeks, and you gotta get a ticket and this and that, and maybe they'll show up and they,
I honestly think
the
it's the
runaround.
city's way of giving you the runaround so that the place gets so bad to where they have to shut it down and then sell it to a developer.
Oh, yes, this is exactly what's happening, like at DC General, where we have our homeless shelter and we've neglected it.
Right,
instead of
you
doing
neglected
something.
it.
Yes.
And then it looks bad because unfortunately, the poor little girl, Alicia Rudd, have never been found.
Right.
And that drew a black eye on the city, and all of a sudden now we need to do something about it. And you should have did something about it when you had people there managing the site,
Well,
knew the site was messed up,
Yeah.
and then still got a paycheck.
Right.
So why not require them to do
Well,
that?
this is kind of the pattern that you see in Washington D.C., right?
Yeah.
Where we sort of have this, sort of pattern of the press will put something in headlines.
Right.
We discover some sort of scandal or some sort of tragedy.
But that's
right?
the only time we acknowledge it.
Exactly.
It's when the press
But the
speaks up
problem,
about it.
exactly, and we're sick of it, right?
Right,
Like
we
that's
are
the
tired.
job of government, to diagnose these problems before they become a source of public outrage.
Right.
And yet we've allowed ourselves to get comfortable and have our journalists do the job that our elected officials have.
The elected officials
And
should
that's
be doing.
why I'm running.
Yes.
Because I can do that rigorous oversight.
She's gonna do the job. But look, we got a question.
We do have a question.
Is it about rats?
It's not about rats.
Okay.
So, how can you help 311 work 24/7, especially on the weekends?
Interesting. So this question came up actually in the last debate that I had with my opponent. And what I understood was that 311 is a 24/7 sort of entity. I'll put it that way. But that it's the agencies that are not 24/7. And my solution, unfortunately, at this point, my solution is to just tweet stuff, because you cannot get anything done unless you publicly shame the agencies into doing it. If elected, and this is my plan, and this is just something that's been informed based on all of the doors I've been knocking and all of the people I've been talking to. We have a council member right now who calls his constituent services, really thorough and robust, because he has office hours on Friday. I don't know why it's here. Office hours on Fridays at coffee shops throughout the ward. Maybe that worked at some point, but it's not sufficient now. And what I would like to do is actually have office hours not just on Fridays when a certain constituency can come and visit you. I would like to have office hours on weekends, in the evenings. I also want to have office hours at churches, at schools, and most importantly at DC agencies. Because nothing is going to piss or make people piss their pants like having a council member in their agency, watching them like a hawk and being right there next to a neighbor saying, don't give us the runaround. Give us the government service that we deserve and that we pay our taxes
We're paying our taxes for. And if you know DC is taxation without representation.
For sure.
It's bad enough we don't have representation, but then we're getting screwed over and really don't get representation for, from the very ones we elected to office that we're actually paying taxes for services like the get rid of rats, holding developers responsible for the rats that they're supposed to get rid of and take care of when they're developing new buildings and things, and digging up unearthing these rats. We need to get that done.
Right. And so one of the things I did earlier today, which we talked about, was I was down by Greenleaf, which is one of the public housing communities in Southwest, and neighbors were desperate. They knew I was running for office, and they were like, well, it's an election year, and we know that people are extra responsive during an election year, so why don't you come into my backyard, take some photos, and put it up on social media so that we can get some people out here, because we've had a bunch of 311 requests go completely unanswered and ignored. And so I did just that, and you can check out my Facebook.
The photo squeamish. Anytime you have a rat tail of a live rat.
I saw a live rat.
Chilling under your walkway, going to your house. It's,
Hey.
I would not want to even walk in the house. I'd be scared to open my door. I mean, I'd be scared to come home late at night because you don't know if something's running in when, I could be going out. Some could be going in. You never know. But it's unfortunate and sad that you basically have to use social media to shame someone into doing what they're already being paid to do.
That's right. But the other thing is that we also have to be funding these programs and these agencies sufficiently to be able to deliver these services. So I was explaining earlier, before we got on air, we have 2 investigators, and for the entire District of Columbia who take care of rats. That is not enough. I mean, think about it. We've got 700,000 people here. 2 investigators? No.
2 investigators.
That is insufficient. I think the mayor had proposed 4 additional FTEs, 4 additional hires. Yeah.
4? I mean, DuPont Circle alone.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
they're like the size of
if you go to DuPont Circle at nighttime, especially now while it's raining, I mean, that's all you see.
No, they're outside doing circus tricks.
Jumbo-sized rats that are like performing tricks for food. And if they're not performing tricks, they're running you down for whatever you eat. They're walking behind you. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And you only have 2 agents for, DC is a huge place.
Yeah. But,
and you only have 2.
I mean, if you take just a step back, and especially this glaring example from my afternoon at Greenleaf was, it's not just the rats. I also talked to a woman who's on disability, who's put in for a different public housing unit because she can no longer walk up and down 13 stairs because her hips and her knees are hurting her. And she's been on a wait list to transfer since August. And her windows are like crummy, her doors don't work, the toilet is all the way down here, so she has trouble bending over. And this is the nation's capital, right? It's a shame to see our public housing sort of fall into this state of disrepair. And that's not okay to me. And if we don't have people on the council who are willing to take this on and be a torchbearer for these communities, then what are we doing?
Right. What are we doing? Right.
Yeah.
So you're proposing a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And you're going to shake a lot up in office.
Yeah.
So for me, somebody that's a voter, and I do vote, somebody that's a voter and someone that has a voice, has a mouth, has a platform, I have no problem putting nobody on the spot because your job is to do your job. If you're not doing your job, I'll tell you you're not. But as somebody that is a voter, what can you promise me that you'll do? And one thing I'll throw out there is integrity. How can I count on you to be to keep your integrity?
Yeah.
Because I know it's election season.
Yeah.
Everybody comes out with promises. Everybody comes out the woodworks and they come out, they shake your hand, they're smiling in your face, they're doing everything to gain your vote.
Right.
But once you have my vote, how can I be sure that you not only have my vote, but you have my voice as well?
Yeah.
How can I ensure that you're going to do the best thing with that?
Yeah, and not get corrupted.
Correct.
Exactly. So the beautiful thing about my campaign and the beautiful thing about running for this office is I am running a grassroots campaign that is completely without any strings attached. That every dollar I've raised has come from family, friends, and my own network, right? That I've been able to build. And that is great because I don't owe anybody any favors. I might just be the first person to be elected to the DC Council who comes to the table without any strings attached.
See.
And the only people that I need to answer to are my neighbors. That's how it ought to be. And that is not something that my opponent can say with a straight face. Unfortunately, in DC, here's a little tidbit. So if you don't already know about DC campaign finance laws, because, why would you?
Right.
I took a course. They required that of me. A maximum donation of $500 applies to business entities as well as individuals. So as an individual, you can give up to $500. That's it. As a business, an LLC, you can give up to $500. That's it. My opponent has gotten away with saying, I don't take business money, because technically that's true. He doesn't take it from the LLC. But what he'll do is he'll take it from all of the executives at that business. So when you look at our skyline, when you look at the development that's going on around DC, when you look at the construction and the property managers who are basically running the city, what you'll see is no donations are coming from the actual business, but they're coming from all of the executives. So what's actually happened is it's like he's been able to get away with this really cool talking point, and I have exposed it. And all of his donors are really pissed off at me, and that's okay. Because I'm on the right side of this.
Shame on you, Lisa Hunter.
But this is
shame on you.
I know. This
and
is how
shame
I
on
explain.
you with Kym and Nuby
It's
for sharing it
but
over and over and
the way
over
that I explain
again.
it is like this, right? It's like me saying, I'm not going to take money from the Trump organization, but I will take money from Ivanka and Jared and Don Jr. and
Right.
Eric. And actually, I will make more money that way. And that's exactly what's been going on. And so, he talks about campaign finance and public financing of campaigns, whatever. That's fine. But you are talking out of two sides of your mouth. And I'm here, it's unfortunate, but it takes a progressive, angry mom on Capitol Hill to call you out for it. Sorry.
Yeah,
hey,
and that's the unfortunate thing. So,
yeah.
as far and we're not campaigning for her or trying to get more votes for her or anything. I'm just speaking for myself. I'm going for who has my back.
Yeah.
Not who's paying for somebody else's back to get scratched. Because that dollar ain't coming to me. That dollar's going to somebody else. And we have a visitor who should be in the back room, and you're supposed to be in the back. You're going to get in trouble.
Right. Jackson,
Cameo.
go back. Jackson, go back.
It's okay. We're all dog friendly here.
Okay.
If y'all go to my Instagram, Lisa for Word 6, you'll see a lot of dogs.
She has dog. So, I can't stand Jackson right now. Stole the camera though. I love him though. But listen, you have to vote your conscience. You have to vote whoever is going to bring the best to you, who's going to hear your voice and go out there and work for you. Not the one who's getting the most donations, because trust me, the most donations doesn't mean that they're going to do the most actions for you. Most of the time when you get people that got the most donations and the most money, is because they already been paid off. And they've been paid off by people that don't even have your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
So if you really look at it and you really do the math and you look and see, okay, who actually has my best interests at heart? Who can actually speak for me? Not the one who's been bought the table, but the one who's making the table and who's building the table and bringing her own to the table.
Yeah.
Not
Who's
someone
actually
can
out
say-
in the neighborhood?
Right. Who's actually
Oh, yeah.
out
I'm
in the neighborhood?
pounding the pavement.
I found this.
Right.
Which prompted me to call her to
Right.
see, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? Talk to me. Let me know what's going on, what you have, what's your agenda. And you've done that. And I appreciate that. And I applaud you for that. Not a lot of people could do that.
Just a comment from Michelle Walsh. She said
Hey,
that's so.
Michelle.
Hey,
What's up?
she said that is so true.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, thanks, Sam.
You
Somebody come
just
out.
gonna come back.
I know.
You see, he brought it over.
It's probably the best part of the interview.
I know, it's what we had to do. So, Lisa,
Yes.
what more can we expect from you, and how can people see you or follow you? How can people find you?
Okay, so a couple of things that I think I should clarify about this race. Number one, it's just me and the incumbent. Nobody else is in this race.
Oh, so it's only 2 people. It's real easy.
Only 2 people.
It's real easy.
And you know what's funny is if I had not jumped into this race, he would have just been rubber stamped another 4 years. Think about that. Think about the tens of thousands, I should say, Black and brown people in our community that would have been totally displaced. That's not okay.
No, it's not okay, because we have a serious issue where, for example, I will tell you, all of the building, Jay, I'm gonna beat you up. Okay, all of the buildings that are going up in the city. We have a question.
Oh, question.
Yeah,
Question.
you don't want to
No,
finish
go
your
with the
comment.
question because I'm gonna beat you up.
Question.
So, Lisa, do you actually live in Ward 6?
I do. Yes, I do. So I moved to DC in 2009, and that was right after the Obama campaign wrapped up in 2008. So he was thankfully elected, and I moved out here to see where this ride would take me. I thought I was going to be an immigration lawyer, honestly, because I'm bilingual, and I grew up on the U.S.-Mexico border, and issues around immigration and social justice are important to me. But after jumping on the Obama campaign in 2008 and being a field organizer in Missouri, I realized that there is a real role for government to be a force multiplier of good. And so I moved to DC. I was like, just like wide-eyed, like youngster. I moved to H and 3rd Northeast, and it was completely different than it is right now. It's completely developed right now. And I worked on the Hill for a couple of years doing constituent services work. And then the Affordable Care Act passed, and I was fortunate enough to get to work on the Obama administration implementing the law. That's how I met my husband, who's also a bleeding heart. And we got together, we got married, we have a baby now, and we somehow miraculously bought the crummiest house on the Hill. That's the only way we can afford it. And now we are a part of this community forever, and we're rooted. We're not going anywhere. My daughter and I, we intend to send JJ, our daughter, to public schools right here in the neighborhood. We are products of public school education. I am a former educator. I actually taught when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in the Caribbean, so I taught little ones how to read.
Okay.
And that's a long-winded answer to yes, I do live in the ward.
Yes, so look, she lives in the ward, she votes the ward. She's gonna be the ward. I want her to be the voice of the ward.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so here's what I'll say. I would love to engage with folks. I'd love to answer any questions you all have. Certainly, I'm approachable, and I'm out there every day knocking on doors because I believe that's the best way to serve our neighbors is to understand where they're coming from, but also make sure that they understand you and have full access and transparency when it comes to where you stand on certain issues.
Right.
When it comes to actually catching me, so I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram, and so my handle is Lisa for Ward 6. The 6 is the only number in that. And then on Facebook, it's Lisa Hunter for Ward 6. And you can also, just reach me at different events. I'll be doing voter outreach and GOTV, Get Out the Vote activities.
Okay. There's an event coming up.
Thank you. Yes, I'm getting to this. Okay. June 5th, which is on Tuesday, I will be at Westminster Presbyterian, which is on 4th and I Southwest. And we will be having a candidate debate. So you will be able to actually see me take my opponent to task and actually make him answer for some of the crummiest votes that he's taken for, a lot of his wealthy donors and not, folks
Yes.
in Ward.
So this is the time when we all should come out. We all should come out. Everybody in Ward 6, we should all go out to the Church of Westminster. You have a question?
Question.
Yes. Are you connected with the police and the crime rate?
Here's what I'll say about police and the crime rate. So there's a spectrum, right? You'll find people who are very much into more police. We need more police presence, and then you'll have people who are complete abolitionists. I tend to be on the side of we don't need more police. More police is never the answer. We have passed a law called the NEAR Act, and it's the neighborhood something achieves results.
Mm-hmm.
Neighborhood engagement achieves results, that's what it is. And that passed in 2016. And the whole idea behind this law was to bring a community health and public health approach to actually get to the root of some of the problems when it comes to crime, which is addressing, making sure that people have access to services like mental health services and other services before it actually escalates to a place of real crime and that kind of behavior. The unfortunate thing is it was not fully funded. One of the really important elements of that law was being able to collect data, have Metropolitan Police collect data. And what we saw was basically an incomplete first report from the Metropolitan Police Department because they said that they did not have, the resources to collect
the data.
Stop and frisk data in particular.
Really? You don't have the resources? Do you know how many cops you have? Do you know how many cops you have that sit around and do nothing?
What I'll say is the budget that just went through is funding it. So thankfully, we're going to get the funds back, but we have not been strong enough as a council and as elected officials. We demand more of our Metropolitan Police Department. And we ought to be making sure that everybody in our community feels safe and feels supported. And we have to actually go back. Think about what the purpose of our police is, right? Mm-hmm. To ensure public safety.
Right.
And yet we continue to criminalize, poverty. We continue to criminalize things like sex work. And why does sex work happen? Because we have a bunch of people who can't get jobs.
Or
housing.
Can't afford housing.
Right? They're doing survival sex.
Can't afford housing. So when you have a rent for a one-bedroom apartment that's $2,600,
right.
How can you afford that when you're only making $11 an hour?
Right.
You can't afford that.
And these are things that affect certain communities disproportionately, right?
Right.
Like communities of color, women, the LGBT community.
The elderly.
The elderly. Yes. All.
The elderly.
Yeah.
These are the ones who built the city.
Right.
But we show our homage to them by kicking them out of the city. Or giving them piss poor ass places to live in.
Yeah.
That the city runs, the city owns, but your windows don't close all the way. So you gotta put plastic up for the winter. Or your toilet is too low and you're handicapped. We know you're handicapped. And your toilet is too low and we know you can't get to it or it's gonna be a struggle for you to get to it. Those are things that we really should be holding our council members and people that speak for us, we should hold them accountable for. And they should be able to speak on those issues for us.
Yeah.
Not just push us to the side. I'm grateful that you're speaking for a lot of people.
And the unfortunate thing is, I think what we see on the council, here's an observation. We like to pass a lot of really great sounding laws, but
it sounds good.
It sounds good, right?
But it means nothing.
But it's unfortunate, and with the NEAR Act, also with paid family leave until recently. And a whole, we repealed the taxes we pay on tampons, but we haven't funded it. So what I'm seeing is we pass a lot of laws that sound real great, but we don't fund them, we don't conduct oversight, and we don't enforce them, or we don't implement them.
Right.
And that's a problem. That's the job of the council is to make sure all of these trains are on track, and they've failed. And so I'm starting to come to this point where I'm thinking, all right, y'all are just passing laws for nice talking points, and that's pretty much it.
Just to make it sound good. So, listen, if you are in DC and you're a member of Ward 6, you need to get out and do something. You just can't be sitting here, you just can't be sitting on the sideline. You can't expect it to just happen. It's only going to happen if you make it happen.
So, I will tell you some of the big issues that I think are pretty hot button in our community right now. And election day is June 19th. Early voting starts June 4th, and you can go to Judiciary Square to start voting. And then starting, I believe it's June 6th, you can also vote at King Greenleaf Recreational Center, or you can go to Sherwood Rec Center. But again, the actual election day is on June 19th. You can start absentee voting right now. People have already started to cast their absentee ballots. The issues that are beyond just my race, there's also an at-large race, and there is a chairman's race. And these are also positions that are on the DC Council. So you should absolutely check out those candidates. And then there's also a ballot initiative that's become really contentious lately called Initiative 77. And it's about eliminating the two-tiered wage system that we have for tipped workers. So if you're a server in a restaurant, if you're a technician in a nail salon, if you're a valet or a bellhop that earns tips, this would essentially be an initiative that eliminates the $3.33 minimum wage that they earn now and brings them up to, makes them whole essentially, and gives them the security of actual minimum wage, just like other minimum wage workers. Okay. So those are other issues that you should be focused on as well. But please check out my website, and you can listen. I'm going to be totally upfront and transparent with you on these issues. I've been honest with people about where I stand. My opponent has not, unfortunately. But this is what democracy is all about, and this is what elections are all about. So get folks on the record and push, push, push. All right.
So listen, you guys have heard it from here. You on the Kym and Nuby show, Miss Lisa Hunter. She's here. She's staking her claim here in the city. Staking her claim here in Ward 6. We appreciate that. We love that. We like that. I, being a member of Ward 6, well, hell yeah, I like that because she's fighting for me and she's fighting for change. And I mean, oh my God, if we cannot just okay, listen.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, please. Okay. I'm about to say something. I was like, oh my God, I'm so
bad. Before you get there, I have a feeling that you're going somewhere real deep. But for all the ladies out there, especially those of you in Washington, D.C., look at our council. We've got 13 members, 8 that represent a ward, and then we've got 5 that represent the entire district. They're at-large members. We only have 4 women on the council. And when you look at things like the taxes we pay on tampons and on diapers, there's a reason why these things aren't moving, and it's because we don't have a seat at the table. When you look at things like language access for basic government services at the DMV, with MPD, with schools, there's a reason why we don't have an advocate on the council, or an advocate that's carrying the torch on these issues. It's because we haven't elected people who understand these communities, who understand the needs. If elected, I would be the first Latino ever elected to the DC Council for the district. And that is an important point that I'm just raising because I'm the only candidate, to the best of my knowledge, in any of the races going on in the district right now that's putting content out in Spanish and English, and that's also been speaking in both languages with people. I'll give you an example. I was down at the Waterfront Metro a couple months ago, and I saw a homeless, elderly homeless man in a wheelchair. It was cold. It was the middle of winter. And I approached him, monolingual Spanish speaker, and I learned that he was, he's been in the United States for 8 years. He was a refugee from El Salvador. He didn't have any of his papers anymore because they were stolen from him. And not only that, he had bandages on his legs. And I asked him in Spanish, I said, what's with the bandages? What happened? And he says, oh, los ratones me comieron, which means the rats ate my legs.
Oh, no.
I know. And this is the nation's capital. And we can be doing so much better when it comes to making sure that we don't leave our neighbors behind. And to know that we've cut the corporate tax rate, we've slashed the estate tax, things that are benefiting the ultra wealthy or big businesses, and yet we're letting things like, people like Francisco, my friend in the wheelchair, or, people at DC General, or we're just leaving a lot of our, rent-burdened neighbors behind. It's a tragedy. And it's really upsetting. There have been a lot of tears on this campaign, but it makes me a stronger candidate, and it makes me a stronger advocate and a stronger voice for our community.
And as a voter,
question.
Oh, we got a question.
I love it. She's like, question. So, no, it's just a general question. What's the last day to register to vote?
So it's a little complicated. We just last day to register before the primary was on Tuesday.
Oh.
However, in DC we do have same day voter registration. So if you go to the polls on election day, you should be able to register to vote and cast a ballot on the same day. They'll just make you instead of submitting a regular ballot, they'll make you submit a special ballot. But whatever you do, if you haven't registered yet, just go on election day and submit any ballot. Any ballot will do. And actually, I think you can also go early. So if you try and go to Judiciary Square or go to one of these early voting sites, you should be able to cast a ballot there too.
Yeah, so definitely, if you have not registered to vote, definitely register. Register to vote because your voice matters. And the reason why your voice matters is we need to know who's seated at the table. She's already told you. Your voice don't matter if you're not at the table. So we need to make sure that our people or people that have needs, like your friend that had his leg or foot eaten by rats because he's homeless. This is serious, you guys. This is just not, this is impacting people. It's, there goes by the grace of God, it could be us. So who's there, if it is you, who do you want there fighting for you? I want someone at the table for me that's going to fight for me.
I think it's important to also have a fighter, but also have somebody with empathy.
Yes.
And the only way you get that is by actually going into communities that you don't belong to, or communities that are different from or outside of your comfort zone. And I'm proud to have been embraced by a lot of diverse communities in Ward 6, and we have hands down the best people in the world here. And I'm so privileged and so honored to even have this opportunity and this platform, and I'm damn sure I'm going to make the most of it.
So, Miss Lisa,
Question.
I got a question from Tasha White Sims. What is on top of your agenda if elected?
There's so much to do. So the three things that I'm really focused on are, number one, constituent services. I think as a ward representative, as a council member for a ward, it's your number one job to make sure that every constituent is receiving efficient, effective, and just responsive government services, whether it's rats, whether it's mold, whether it's an abandoned car. These are things that people absolutely need an advocate for, just to get through their regular daily routine. The other items that I'm very focused on, affordable housing. I think on day one, I would like to come to office with a plan for AMI reform. That's a very technical term, but the bottom line is the way that the district defines affordability, right? We talk about affordable housing units and building more affordable housing, but a lot of people can't afford those affordable housing units because it's defined and pegged to a totally bizarro formula that takes into account not just the median, the average income of district residents, but the average income of the suburbs. So you have places like McLean and Chevy Chase and Bethesda and all of these very affluent communities skewing the numbers. And so when we talk about affordable housing in DC, it's always affordable for who, right?
Yeah, it's not affordable because even if it is deemed affordable,
right,
you're stuck.
That's right.
You cannot make any more money than what you make. And if you get a bonus or a pay raise at work, you're now out of that umbrella of, okay, you're protected now because of affordable housing. But because you got a $5,000 pay raise at work, now that umbrella is gone. And now you have to pay regular like everyone else. And a lot of people cannot do that. $5,000 does nothing when you only make $11 an hour.
Right.
So where is your affordable housing? Exactly. Where's your voice? Who's seated at that table to fight for you?
And I will say, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be like an urban planning or housing expert.
Right,
I'm not.
You don't have to be. But I mean, you got a voice. You see wrong and you see injustice.
Yeah, and there are people that, you bring everyone to the table and you come up with a solution. It's that simple. We just don't have people in office who are willing to do it. I think the second thing, especially on affordable housing, and this actually applies to my next item, which is education, is, the most unconscionable votes that I saw our council make, especially last year, was to cut the corporate tax rate, cut taxes for big corporations, and cut and slash the estate tax, which is basically, a benefit, tax benefit that goes to maybe a few hundred people in the district. And somehow we've come to a place where we can't afford to build more affordable housing, and we can't afford to actually fund our schools adequately.
Really?
Right now, today, we are actually spending less on DC public schools than we were 10 years ago when you account for inflation. And the way that schools are paid for in the district is based on a per pupil, per student basis. So some students actually got a slight bump, right? They get a slight bump if they're an at-risk student. If they at risk, meaning they're on food stamps, they have they're in the foster system, etc. If they're special needs or if they're English language learners. But those additional funds, what we've seen is schools are so starved for funding that they're basically robbing from Peter to pay Paul, right? So they're taking these funds for these students that have a need for these extra services, and we're putting it towards core functions, and that is doing a disservice to our students. And it is a huge, huge element to why we aren't able to actually achieve world-class education system. But I'm not going to sit here and say, we can throw more money at a system and it'll fix itself. That's not true. You can't polish a turd. And so what I would like to see our DC council do is actually more rigorous.
Can't polish a turd.
Can't polish a turd.
It won't shine.
No offense. I mean, listen, I'm a former educator. We cannot continue to elect the status quo and elect incumbents and expect a different result. What we need to do is elect people who are willing to hold our administrators accountable and do the rigorous oversight, ask the hard questions, put people on the hot seat. That hasn't happened to the degree that we need. And we also need to have somebody who's a convener. I'm the only person in this race who's ever taught in a classroom. I know what it's like to teach students who come to school hungry, who come to school having experienced toxic stress at home because they have domestic violence or because they have housing insecurity.
Wow.
And those are the kinds of perspectives that are lacking in our local government, and it's so important.
And that's
to
a lot what
people,
a lot what our teachers go through,
yeah.
who are underpaid,
Yes.
who basically rob Peter to pay Paul, and sometimes Peter and Paul is within their own house or within their own budget, just to make sure that they have the tools needed to teach their students. So I think it behooves us. Yes, it's like Hunger Games. Yeah, it is like Hunger Games. It's like which students will go out.
Oh my gosh.
I volunteer you to go
Right.
go out here and shoot 2 ducks and 3 beavers and bring it back and make your pass.
Right.
Or get food for the rest of the class. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it something needs to be done. People need to be held accountable, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you for running. I appreciate you for running. I appreciate you for taking the time to be here, to come out with us, to just share with not only us, but our viewers as well. Give people in Ward 6 a better understanding of who you are, why you're running, why it's important for them to get out there and vote. Whether they vote for you or whether they vote their opponent, it doesn't matter. Just as long as they get out there and vote. And not just vote, but to continue to hold people responsible.
We got a
So we got
question.
another question.
Any added thoughts about DC violence?
So I was going to touch on this earlier, actually. I think that we need to be doing more around sensitivity training. I know a lot of the advocates are to be commended for the work that they've done around addressing issues around harassment and violence in our communities. I would work very closely with advocates who have actually pursued some of these really progressive policies. I'm also very focused on violence in our trans community in particular. This is a community where trans women are the unemployment rate for trans women is 50%, and they experience economic injustice and violence in higher proportions than I would say any other demographic out there. Ward 6 is interesting. So we've always had sex work, we've always had prostitution.
Right.
But Ward 6 is currently the hotbed for sex work.
Yes. I protect sex workers.
Well,
Leave them alone.
So here's the thing though. It's you have a lot of clutch your pearls liberals out here
Right.
who are uncomfortable about the fact that they're finding condoms in their shrubs. But they think that it's okay to just criminalize sex workers. That's not the case.
Right. It may not be the
no.
sex worker that put it there. It may be the one
Well, and also
who paid the
why
sex
only
worker
condoms,
walking
right?
by
It's
your
not
house
only-
that threw it there.
Anyway.
Or maybe yours.
It's like that's a problem. Nobody wants condoms in your hydrangeas. Okay,
Right.
we agree. But I think the real focus has to be on the underlying issues around poverty, around making sure that there are programs that support these individuals to be able to access jobs, access healthcare, and there are some really awesome groups that are doing that. Again, the NEAR Act is a tool that we should be leveraging, and this is an opportunity for us as a district to just stop the police violence.
Right.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I talk to people who, especially people of color in our community, who are basically harassed by police just for sitting on their front steps.
Right, sitting on their front step.
And
or
that's
you can be sitting on your front stoop
right.
and you could get harassed. Or you could be going to your car, and depending on what type of car you have, you could be pulled over. I've been pulled over before in my old car. I had to give it up. Not because of that, but
it's awful.
But it is
like,
awful when you feel that you have a target on your back.
Right.
So
and you're in your home.
Yeah, you're in your home. I live here. I have a right to be here.
That's right.
So
that's right.
That's a sad thing.
What we need in our local government, what I believe we need, is more allies who are actually going to listen to communities of color, to listen to advocates from Black Lives Matter, youth advocates around how to effectively engage with one another, how to work with police, but more broadly, it's so funny because the DC Police, actually, Metropolitan Police Department, just they said that they were going to restart their friendly McGruff.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, guys, this is not going to solve everything.
It's not going to solve everything.
It's nice try,
nice
but
try,
not
but
enough.
The trench coat now it brings more questions. So no.
But we ought to
No
be.
strange men in trench coats. No.
I do, and I'm not going to pussyfoot around this. I am a person of privilege, right? I look this way and I am treated a certain way, and so it's really hard for me to completely understand the experience that many of our neighbors go through when it comes to violence and harassment from our law enforcement. And I recognize
no one here would have never known, or anyone viewing would have never known that you were Latina.
Right.
Had you not said anything.
Right.
Because everyone thought that, okay, she's a Caucasian.
Right. And I will say, actually, it's funny, one of the reasons why I jumped in this race, the moment that I decided to jump in this race was actually when I saw our council member tweet this totally insensitive tweet about President Trump pardoning Joe Arpaio.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Arpaio is like the devil incarnate to my family because I have a lot of roots in the Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my Mexican American roots.
Yeah.
I have people who are racially profiled all the time.
Well, Charlie, he's the devil incarnate to a lot of people.
For sure. But I remember reading this tweet. It sounds so silly. But our council member said something to the effect of well, on the plus side, when the president starts to pardon people, it means that you're closer to the end of your term. And ironically, actually pardoned somebody today. But nevertheless, I remember turning to my husband at that moment and I was like, did he really just make light of this? There is literally no plus side to this.
Yeah, if you actually,
And I said, I was like,
you got to do your homework.
I'm running
If
against
you go
this guy.
back and you look and do your homework, know who's fighting for you, know who's speaking for you. You gotta get involved. You gotta know who you have a voice. We all have a voice. I can go out there, I can raise my window and yell out to the streets. It won't get me nowhere. I need to know who's seated at the table, who has my voice.
Right.
Or who's supposed to have my voice. And make sure that they're doing what they need to do. I'm not campaigning. This is not a campaign for you or anything like that.
I love that.
But I will tell you, girl, you got my vote. You got my vote. You got my support. The whole 9 yards. So, how can people follow you, or how can people find you again? One more time before we get out of here.
Okay, I hope you all will come out on June 5th to this debate at Westminster Presbyterian. And it starts, doors open at 6. It's on basically the corner of 4th and I Street Southwest. You better believe I'm going to have a huge showing. And I would love to engage with you there. And you can just continue to follow me on social media. I am at Lisa for Ward 6 on both Instagram and Twitter. And then I'm also on Lisa Hunter for Ward 6 on Facebook. I also have a YouTube page. You guys can check that out. I've got a couple bids.
Okay.
They're real fun. One of them actually made quite a splash, and it's actually put me on the map.
Okay,
but
cool.
if you like to see a lot of like videos, I'm pretty good on social media. I have to say.
So listen, you can follow her. You can find her on her own social media. She already told you where. We're going to have that information on our page as well. We cannot thank you enough for being here and for just spending your time to share with us and just share with not only us, but our viewers how they can find you, the whole 9 yards, who you are, why you're running, the purpose of you running, and, the voice you plan to give the people. So,
well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me. Thank you to those of you that submitted questions. I'm deeply, deeply appreciative. And I'm always looking for support and volunteers and folks who can just like my stuff. So easy enough, right?
You got us. So with Kym and Nuby, we're throwing our hat in the race, and we're not.
And Jackson.
Really?
Jackson's like, I want to sit at the table.
Jackson would be right.
You want to sit at the table? Come over here. All right. So Jackson is also involved. Jackson don't live in DC though. Jackson lives in Laurel. He lives like in Laurel Bowie-ish area.
That's okay.
So Jackson also is going to throw his vote in there as well. So listen.
Oh my gosh, if
Lisa
dogs
Hunter.
could vote, I would have this thing in the back. I would be elected. There would be like more treats and snuggles. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
trust me, you want somebody good for Ward 6? I think we found her. So listen, Lisa Hunter for Ward 6. She's here with us with Kym and Nuby show. This is Nuby. Kym's over there running the camera. If you saw it jiggling or off to the side, you know who to blame. Mm-hmm. Yeah, her. And we got Lisa Hunter here. So Lisa, thank you so much for coming. Thanks for being here. And also we got Jackson. Jackson, say hi. Say hi. You already say hi. So we got Jackson here as well. So look, this Nuby, Kym is over there.
June 19th, folks.
June 19th. You guys gotta get out there and vote. But meet us at Westminster on Tuesday night at what time?
6 o'clock, doors open. 7 o'clock it starts.
Doors open at 6. It starts at 7 o'clock. Bring your questions. Bring your
yes,
questions.
put us in the hot seat.
Yes,
Get us
put
on
them in the
record.
hot seat. We gotta get them in the hot
I'm
seat.
talking
We gotta
about
find out what
Amazon,
they're
all of
doing.
it.
We're talking about everything.
All
We're
of it.
talking about everything that's coming to DC. Will the mayor be there?
No. Well, will you come if the mayor's there?
Oh, I'm gonna be there regardless.
Yeah,
but I
there
just
you
want
go.
to see if the mayor's gonna be there.
No, she probably won't be there.
Okay, she probably won't be there,
But
but
I'm good enough. Listen,
no,
I'm
you're
enough,
more than
right?
You're more than enough. You're more than enough. But I would love to have her there to see
I
what she's
know,
gonna do.
I hear you.
But no. Oh, congratulations if the mayor is watching. Congratulations on your new child.
Yeah.
You know, that is such a blessing.
Yay!
That is
Yes.
such a blessing.
Yes.
That is such a blessing.
Yes.
So, even all the more reason for you to come out and do something. I want
need
to
a
vote.
break.
I want to vote her in again.
Yeah.
I want to vote her in again. I want to see her do major things for the city and shake it up and
We
turn it
can
up.
schedule a play date. I
Yeah.
got a
Schedule
little
a play
girl,
date.
We'll do that.
Yeah, she got a little girl. I got a dog. Y'all play with the dog. Sit him out there and play with the dog or something. I don't know. We're going to
Yeah,
have
that sounds
cocktails
safe.
inside.
That sounds great.
Oh, we definitely have cocktails. But look, I'm out of here. Yeah, it's just something. So I'm out of here. No, Jay, you can't get that. Look, this is Nuby. I'm out of here. Kym's behind there. Lisa Hunter. Definitely vote for her, y'all. See you guys.
Later.